Hi there, it's Karen here from Turquoise Treasures. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be working on my cover for my bird journal. So I've been giving this lots of thought, as I always do when it comes to the covers. They always seem to be something I have to stress over before I can make a start. So I've decided to go with the A4 envelope, but I wanted to give it a little bit more strength. I felt it was a bit flimsy for this journal. I don't know why. I just felt I needed something to make it a bit stronger. So I cut this piece of card. This is just some packaging from photo paper. Excuse me. And I've just cut it to the size, and I'm just going to pop it inside my envelope. I wanted some card that would be reasonably firm, but with a bit of give in it, bit of bend, so that we can still do our bendy cover. So something like Amazon packaging wouldn't be any good, because it would be just too thick, I think, to go in here, and it would just make it really difficult to bend. And I just thought this might just give it that little bit extra structure that it needs. So you can bend it. I don't want to bend it too firmly yet, because I want to do it after I've covered it, but I think it will be fine in there. So I'm just going to take the sticky thing off and glue the flap down as a starting point. If I can get my glue, yes, here it comes. That's very good. So I have been thinking about how I want to do this for a while, and I've got different fabrics that I was umming and ahhing between, but I think I've made my final decision as to how I want to do it, and I will explain my reasoning as I go along for the way I've decided the way I want to do this. Alright, so that's just stuck down. Now the fabric I'm going to use is this fabric here, which I really like, and I thought it had, because we're going sort of nature-y themed, I thought it had a kind of leafy, greeny look. It's the same piece of fabric, it's from the same piece of fabric as I don't know if you saw, this is the journal cover I did for one of Rachel's challenges, this one is got pinky, sort of like a floral, it's quite florally and quite pretty. So I didn't think this one would quite work for what I'm doing with the bird journal, so I'm hoping I'll use it for something else. But what it did do, when I got it out this morning and had a look at it just to remind myself, I had intended originally to do my corners and turn it all in, so just pull in the corners and stick it down, because I thought it's thin enough. I think it'd be difficult with really thick fabric, but you can quite happily turn this in and stick it down and make it quite a neat finish, which was what I was planning to do. And I cut the inside fabric for that purpose. Then I got this cover out, where I've just left the edges raw, and I quite like it. I quite like this soft, fluffy, I know it just keeps coming off, and on this one I will sew it so that it doesn't keep fraying forever. But I just quite like that raw look. It just looks soft and a bit more organic, I suppose. So I think, well, actually, I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to actually leave the edges raw. But I will do like a zigzag stitch all around it to kind of hold it so that it won't keep on fraying, as I say, forevermore. So it means that I will need to cut this down a bit, because obviously I don't want the edges to go over too far. And then my lining fabric, I've had to cut twice. And I'm not good at that. I'm not good at cutting straight at all. So this is what I'm using. It's a piece of fabric that we've been clearing out my mother-in-law's house. We lost her in October, and we've been to clear things out. And I found a bag of fabrics. Didn't even know she was into sewing. She'd clearly been buying some. This was a remnant, and I just thought it went rather nicely this sort of navy blue wool with this. I just like the two together. I just thought it made a nice contrast, and it would be a nice liner. It's quite soft, and you know, it's a nice wool. It's quite a fine fabric. It's quite thin, but it just has a nice texture to it, and I just thought it went well with this. So I cut it so that it would just fit within the envelope, because I was going to turn it in and then it would just cover it. And then when I changed my mind, I've had to cut another piece a little bit bigger, and I hope it will still, I've only just made it just big enough to completely cover. And I've had to cut it with the on the zigzag to stop, because it really frays this fabric, and it doesn't fray prettily like the other one. So I wanted to make it so that it didn't fray too much. So I've had a bit of a struggle, but I've used my rotary cutter with the zigzag blade, because I don't get on with pinking shears. They're too heavy for me to use. So I managed to do it. It's not great and it's not perfectly straight, but I think it will just about do the job. So that's the inner lining. So now all I've got to do is make my fabric to size. I've got to trim it to size. So I'm going to, so I think that piece is fine as the front. I was thinking I could move it if I decide I want something different. So I've got the whole strip here. I thought I'd just try and decide which piece I want on the front, and actually that's quite nice there. So maybe that bit on the front, although I am going to probably be covering it, because I've actually decided how I'm going to do the focal point on the front of the cover, which makes a change. There is a bit of a mark on here as well, so I think I will just trim that down a bit, and then I'm going to rip it. It does rip quite nicely, this fabric, thank goodness. So I haven't got to rely on being able to cut it straight, which is a bonus. Right, so given that I want to keep that as my front, where are we? I'm going to cut it and rip it about here, I think. Just trying to get this in the right place. And I will need to rip it across there as well, but this is quite a wide piece, so I'm going to just make that a bit smaller. Right, let's go for it. And there, let's try that. Oh, it does rip nicely. There we go. So obviously there will be lots and lots of strands just need trimming off, so I need to give myself a little bit of extra to allow for that before I sew it. Alright, so that's that piece there, so allow a little bit that side, and then I've got to do the same the other side. So don't want it sticking out too far, do we? So about there, I think. And cut it about there. Let's go for it. I have got some more if this all goes horribly wrong. But I'm hoping it will work. Right, just cut off the long pieces, that bit there. Right, so now we have, so this is the back, that's the front. Now we have our length, and now I just need to trim it the other way. So that's going to go like that. Make sure it's got enough to give me good coverage. And I'm just going to trim it there. Hope it tears this way, otherwise I'm in trouble. Oh, yep. There we are. Lovely. It just makes that lovely soft fluffy edge. I do like that. It's just a case of trying to control it so it doesn't just keep going. I was hoping that the blue one would do the same thing, but it's not really, it's not making quite such a nice edge, so I've had to do the zigzaggy thing. Right, so endless strings. So there we are. Let's turn this back round. So the plan is to glue this first, of course, and then I will sew all the way around the edge once I've put on the inside layer. So that's going to go like that. Make sure it's even on all sides. And then I've got a nice little piece of navy wool to go on the inside. Just make sure it covers the envelope, because it was quite a narrow strip. In fact, I think that was actually the width of it that way. So I could have cut a long piece and made it really big, but I just thought I'd make the best use of it by using that as my width. And I think I sort of slightly shortchanged myself at the ends. The width was fine, but I think I've just about, as long as I'm careful, just about got enough to cover. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. I think that's quite nice, that lining. It's just a little bit different to have a navy lining. And it feels nice. Anyway, stop going on like that. We need to get this going. So I'm going to start gluing. I shall do it a half at a time. It's my general way of doing things. I've been trying to do it all in one go. So I will put the glue halfway around, so roughly I can see roughly where the bend is. Right, quick slurp of coffee before I start. Right, I've topped up my Fabri-Tac bottle, so it should come out fairly easily, one hopes. There we go. Always happy day when I've got a full bottle of Fabri-Tac. It just makes life so much easier. So just go around this side. Squeeze in. Really feel like when you've got the cover done and you've got the signature done, I shall get the signature put together soon as well, so that I can get that sewn in. And then when you've actually got something to work with, haven't you? It just makes it feel like you're making progress. Okay. I think I might actually do it the other way around. So that's my front. I'll do it like that. Just make sure it's easier that way to make sure I've got it on evenly. Okay. Yep. Now I can turn it over and smooth it. Got my card. hopefully it's looking fairly even. Yes. This might need even trimming a little bit more, but I'll see. Don't want to have to do that if I don't need to, because then I'll have to get it to fray again. And it's fraying so prettily at the moment. So I just need to put it towards me to get the glue on. I think you can still see what I'm doing. Just go all the way around the edge and then all over the middle. So I'm just having to put all my effort into the squeezing. Okay. Need to turn it around. Oops. And smooth it. Okay. One cover, front cover done. And now I need to do the inside. Now this is going to have to be so careful to make sure I get this properly covered. Okay. Should do it the same way, half at a time. So once I get the first half on, I should be alright, hopefully, for the second half. And there might be a little bit of stretch in it, I don't know. So I just need to pull that towards myself, otherwise you're going to get my head under the camera. There we are. So I'll have to let this all dry before I attempt to sew it. Just pull off these little bits. So I haven't done the best cutting job with this, but hopefully it'll be good enough. It's just which side did I want to put on there? I think that side. Make sure it's left me enough to cover the other side. Yeah, I think we're okay. Okay. All right. Cool down, yeah. Okay. Bit more glue now. Oh, can't seem to get away from all these. Get in there. That's it. Right. I'm going to turn it round. It's easier for me to smooth it with my left, from the left. Just do a section at a time, I think. Without any creases. And then the last piece, the last section. Okay. Yep, that's covered nicely. Okay. There we are. So that's the front, the inside and the outside. Actually, that's that way around, isn't it? I could have it either way, I suppose, but I think that looks better that way around. Okay, so while that's drying, I thought we could work on my focal point. It's going to go on the front here. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back when I've got those bits together. I've got it sort of ready to go, and I've got some options to choose from, and I wanted to see how that would look when the journal was more or less ready to do, when I actually had the cover made. So I'll be back as soon as I've sorted that out. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, hi, I'm back. So what I decided to do for my focal point on the cover was to put a bird in a frame. So I've made myself a couple of frames. You're probably getting the hang of the things that I like to give myself options when I'm doing these things. So I had 2 fabrics, and I always end up with 2 of something to choose between. So I've made these 2 frames. They're basically the same. And all I did was I took some of the papers from the Nature's Remedies kits. I can't remember which one. They're either Artemis or Tracy's backing papers, and I had quite a nice thick piece of book page, so I was able to get both of them out of the same piece of book page. Normally, if it was a thinner piece, I'd have just folded it in 2 and just doubled it up, but this was actually quite a nice thick one, so I just literally stuck a piece of paper onto the book page, and then I put it through my die cutter. So this is, it's just a Spellbinders die, different sizes. I thought that would be a nice size for my aperture. So that's the piece that comes out. So that's the size. So I thought that would be quite nice then to have a bird in the window. So again, I've got 2 choices of birds. So I've got this one already, and I thought, well, he's quite nice. And then I had another look in my box of birds, and I found him, and I really like him. I don't know what it is about the owls. I think it's because they look at you, and you just feel like you're engaging with them a bit more, perhaps. I don't know, but I quite like him. So he's going to, I think, be my choice to go in the frame. But the piece of paper I had left over, because I really like this. Again, there's another piece from the Nature's Remedies. There's some lovely backing papers, and so I've just got. I only had a little piece of this, so. I didn't feel that the piece I had left was quite big enough, so I'm going to cut it. It just fitted, but I want to make sure it fits comfortably, so I'm just going to cut I'll tear off another piece for him. So if I pop him where I want him, I quite like the bit of writing around him as well, and this little bit of swirly pattern. It's just a beautiful piece of paper. I think you could use this on, you know, I could use this multiple times for all sorts of things, collaging and everything. So I just want to make sure I've got plenty, so I've got no chance of it slipping inside the frame. So just pop that down there. Probably made it too big, but I'd rather have too much than have to worry that it's not going to quite fit. So something like that. Pop him in there, then he shows up nicely. So I'm just going to trim it down a bit more. Trim it about there. I haven't quite decided which of these two frames I'm going to use yet. I thought I'd hold it against the cover, now I've made it, and see which one just looks best. And also this frame is too big, I've still got to trim that down a bit more. So that may still be a bit wide, but at least I can always cut it with, when I get the, you know, stick it in place and then trim the frames. He's going to go in there. Now in order to make sure he stays there, I didn't really want to do loads of Mod Podging. I may have to Mod Podge the frame just to protect it, but I thought what I would do is put a little piece of acetate, or plastic I suppose. I mean, it's very thin, but I thought if I could pop that over there like that, and then, so that just protects him, makes him look like he's in a frame, you know, in a picture, like that. And this it's just being cut from, these are the plastic CD cases. I know a lot of people use the paper ones with the big round window, but it seems that a lot of my CDs have come in these plastic cases. So I thought, well, I've got a load of them, I'll use those. And that works quite nicely, just to cover him up, give him that little bit of, I don't know, I just thought it was a nice look. So there we go. That's going to be, it's either going to be that one, or, obviously the paper's far too big for this one, but I'll have to just trim it down when I've, or that one. So they both look nice, but it's a case of which one looks best. So I think what I'll do is I'll stick him on, because did I show you the other one that I had? I think I flashed it briefly at you. I've lost him now. Where did the other bird? Oh, he's gone. He's flown away. Not there. Oh, disappeared. He's definitely flown the coop. Never mind. I will just stick Mr. Owl. Let's just get my glue. I'll stick Mr. Owl into place. There we are. Isn't he lovely? Just looks like he's looking at you, saying, what you doing? Right, so I've got him there. Now I think, so that's probably about the right size. I did cut that one down, I haven't cut the other one down yet. So I need to, so that'll go about there. So I will trim him down a bit. In case that's the one I end up using. I don't really want to have to cut it afterwards. So just a little bit. Let's just check. Yep, that needs a little bit more. And at the top, that's the top. I think that's already okay. Right. Right, so here, so now we need to audition the frames. So there we go. That's him. Obviously, I put the plastic in, and then the other layer. I'm going to have another layer behind here, sort of a layer of fabric, so that it all just because the patterns are going to be a bit too clashy otherwise. So I thought I needed something behind it to just calm it down. Don't know where to put that. Let's get rid of these bits. So what I picked up, oh, must have been, yeah, it would have been last year sometime when I was in Hobbycraft. They were doing these little bags, like little, I don't know, fabric. It's like a little cotton calico stuff, but I just thought, and it was only £1, these little bags, and I looked at it and I thought, that will be quite good for something on journals. I thought it'd just be quite useful fabric, and I have actually, can't even remember what I used it for, but I've obviously used a bit for it already for something. So I thought that would look quite nice behind there against the fabric of the cover. So if you look there, and then that round it, I think that will work really nicely. So my next job will be to get a piece of this cut out, or torn, if I can get it to tear. Yes, I can. It's always a bonus if I can tear things. So I'll just cut here, I think. Take it down to the fold. Just cut myself a nice big piece, and then I can see what size I need. So I think for £1 this was quite a good little purchase, really. Don't get for much for £1 in Hobbycraft. I'm sure you're not meant to do this. I think the idea is that you should be able to decorate it and paint it and things. I think it's probably in the kids' craft area or something, but I thought I will use that in my journals. And here we are. Right, so when I've got it in place, I'll see how big I need that to be. So let's try it. Which way round? That's the way round. So it feels quite nice and firm with that piece of card inside. It makes it quite a substantial cover. Okay, so there we go. Put this piece here. And then that piece there. I think I might have to cut this to size just to give myself a better idea of how it looks. Let's do that. Let's take that out for a minute. And tear this down. Oop, 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 oop. Strings. So this is going to be another one with a nice fluffy edge, which is quite nice. I like that. And then we'll cut that, or tear it the other way. Right, just try and pull it back out again. It's all sort of a bit gathered. Okay. And what I probably will do, I will definitely do, in fact, is sew all of this before I stick it onto the cover. I'll sew it all together. So it'll probably round the edge here, and then possibly even round inside to make sure I catch in all the acetate, depending on how big the acetate. If I can make the acetate as big as the frame, I won't need to sew it twice, will I? New. Okay. So that's going to go there. That goes like that. That goes like that. So is that one going to work better, or where's it gone? There we go. I mean, this is obviously way too big, but is that colour, actually the colour of the other one might be better, mightn't it? This colour goes quite well, and if you've got the break-up of this in between, I think that goes quite nicely. Yup, I think that will go quite nice. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this one. Use it with something else. Yeah, quite happy with that. Let's do a bit of trimming. So I want to make that one roughly the same size as the one I've already cut down. So put the cover to one side for the moment. Probably the best thing to do is I'll turn it around like that, and I can mark it to see what I'm doing. Pencil, no, pencil. So that's the best thing to do, isn't it? Just put it in there, and then I can measure it. Cut it there, cut it there, and there. And there. Oops. So need to do it so it actually is on the, because I'll be cutting off those bits, won't I? So if I bring that in to that side. Right, let's see how that looks. That way. Alright, let's see how that looks. It looks like I've got one piece. This side's a little wider. So I might just trim that down a touch more, make it even. Okay. And then that fits in there. What I do need to do is ink it up. Ink up the inside and the outside. I really want the ink to show on this, to really give it that edge. Usually the focal point on the previous journals that I've done is sort of almost the last thing I do, because I can't decide what to put. But on this one, I had a sort of it came to me, probably in the middle of the night or in the early hours, because I often end up thinking about what I'm going to do when I'm in bed and can't sleep. And that's probably the reason I can't sleep half the time, is because I'm thinking, oh, what can I do with that cover, or how am I going to make that happen, or, you know, whatever. I often get my best ideas in the middle of the night. I think many of us are like that. Plan it all out, get up in the morning, and I think, I can't remember what I was thinking. I can't remember what I was going to do. That happens quite often. All these wonderful ideas, and then they kind of fade in the light of day. So that will go like that. And then onto here. So I think the first thing to do, stick on my piece of acetate. Let's get rid of this out of the way. It's probably quite dry now, so what I'll probably do is do all my sewing off camera and then come back and show you. Where's my little piece? Oh, you know what it is with acetate, it just disappears, being as it's transparent. And I was quite surprised that I could still find it before. Okay, I have found it. So I'm just going to put that on here. I'm just going to do some little dabs of glue. Is that going to be wide enough? I'm wondering whether I should make it the full width. And then I can sew round here, and I'll know I've caught it in. So maybe I'll just do another piece that's a little bit wider. Just trim it down. Oops, needs to go under the guard. Can't see what I'm doing. Okay. And then I want it to be the same width as that. This is the not very technical way of doing it, but it works well enough. Doesn't have to be exact. And then just trim off the bottom. So I've got two pieces in theory. Is that two pieces? Yes, they're sort of stuck. There we go. And I was going to make it the size of the frame. So that's about right. Still isn't quite as wide as I'd have liked, but I think it'll be okay. Just trim off a little. If I do a little zigzag, hopefully it'll just catch it all in. Right, so that's not quite. I need to trim that off a little bit more there. Nope, that's not going to work if I don't put it under the guard. Okay. Right. Right, that'll do. So I'm going to put just some little blobs of art glitter glue around the edge of the picture. Hopefully the acetate will just fit nicely on there. Oop. So that shouldn't, none of that should actually show. Just get a loose piece of tissue just to smoosh it into place. Alright. And then we're just going to glue this on. Quite lightly. See, I am going to sew it, but I don't want it to slip, and I'm just going to put a little bit around here as well. Just around the edge inside the frame. Which side do I want to be the top? Don't think it makes a lot of difference. Need to put him down a little. Make sure he's completely in frame. And straight. Straight. Straightish. I think that will be okay. And then still going, still fraying. Now it looks a little bit on the big side now, doesn't it? I only really want a little bit peeking out, so I might just trim that down a bit more. Hopefully once it's been sewn, the fraying will not continue. That's the idea. Okay, let's just see how we're doing size-wise. Don't even know if I've got it the same way around. So that's about right as far as height goes. So I just need to make it a little bit smaller here. Okay. Goodness me. It's going berserky. Right, so there we are. That will look quite nice there. I like all the fluffiness. I like that. I really, really like that actually. Really like that. Ooh. And then, once we've sewn it and everything, let's just try it out again. One more time. On our cover. And there we are. Oh yes. Oh yes. Likey, likey. Right. Let's get this glued on, and then I'll sew it. So this one I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac for, just because it's going onto fabric, just to make sure it keeps it. Although I won't. I'm just going to put a bit down the middle, just to hold it in place while I sew it. All right. Now the question is, do I Mod Podge my frame? I'm inclined to not, because I think it'd be okay. It's going to be sewn, it's going to be held in place. I think it'd be okay. Right, that is it for that. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and sew off screen, just because I think what I'm going to have to do is use, I've got cream in my machine at the moment, I'm going to use that on the cover, because then it will show, I think the cream would look quite nice on the inside, having a cream zigzag around the inside. But then I'm going to have to change my thread to brown to go around here, because I think this needs to be brown, so it'll be a bit of a fiddle. So I'll need to do all that off screen, so I'll come back on and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. Okay, be back in a minute, or less than a minute in your case. Lots of minutes in my time. Okay, so here it is, all sewn. Really pleased with how that turned out. So you can see better from the inside. You can see all that zigzag stitching. It was a little bit close to the edge on the ends, but I think it'll be fine. I mean, it did catch it in at least, right across the edge, and it will prevent too much fraying doing it that way. And I'm very happy with that. And then I also sewed my owl. I didn't mention that the owl image comes from a kit by Lorna at Tailor Made Journals. She's got a beautiful bird images kit. I think I mentioned it on one of my other videos. And so the images I was using, I did give myself lots of options. I just kept cutting them out and trying them in the frame, because I quite like the idea of having one of these sort of multiple bird images, but they just didn't fit really. They were a bit too big for the frame I wanted to use. So I ended up with the owl, which I really like. So so that's now been all sewn around. So all I've got to do now is stick it on my cover. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to use of course, the Fabri-Tac. Just need to get the gunk off. So actually this cover has gone somewhat better than I anticipated. As you can see, with my, almost got the sewing perfect, but had a little bit of rucking there, which I'm hoping won't really show. Just makes it a little bit short on that corner, but hey ho, nothing's ever perfect. It's as good as it's going to get. So I am now going to just run my glue across the back of the sewing, because that'll then keep that in place, prevent any unravelling down the line. All around the edge, and then this is not going anywhere. Plenty of glue. A bit more up in this corner. There we are. Lavish with my glue. And then get it lined up. In slightly middle and above centre. I like it not quite in the centre. Height wise anyway. It's quite nice just to have it a little bit higher. There we are. Mr. Owl, you're there for eternity. And there we have it. One journal cover, made, ready to go, and I'm absolutely delighted with it. I really am. I'm so glad how it's turned out. So obviously lots more to work on, but this is a good start. I'm really pleased with that. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining me once again. Hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe if you did, and join me again soon when we work some more in this journal. Okay, bye for now.